In today's video I have this realistic Concert Mate electronic accompanist, is that how you say it? And metronome, which does what? Largo, Adagio, Larghetto. I won't try and pronounce all those things. So we've got accompanist or metronome. I think these were originally like a mechanical sort of pendulum type thing. You used to pull a thing to one side and something would flick back and forwards. And of course then they made electronic ones. You can probably just get an app for your phone or something these days. But I think it's the first time I've actually seen one of these electronic ones in the flesh. Cat number 422103A. And Concert Mate was, I think, their more musical stuff. Custom manufactured in Taiwan for Tandy Corp. It's a 6 C cells it runs on. And looks mint in there, so that makes a nice change. Serial number in there as well. And looks like we may have a external power DC 9 volt. Line out, oh, we've got a foot switch. An external speaker connection. So I thought of everything, tempo, volume, different styles, start. And I think that's a speaker in there. Yeah, definitely a speaker in there. Might be worth having a look inside it after, so I'll find a power plug for that. Okay, so it's 9 volt, positive tip, standard connection. Definitely on 9, yeah. Power on. Ugh, it's making a weird noise. Well, something's happening. Rather dirty too, but the pot surprisingly isn't scratchy even though it's full of dust. Don't know if that's the beat per minute, something like that I guess. Well, that tells you what speed I guess all those different styles of music are. Okay, that's your waltz. Sounds like one of those cheap Casio keyboard things. You can put a couple on at a time, I think. Bit of rock. Alright, we've got a sequencer here. That's how electronic music was made. Well, I didn't think this thing could sound semi-cool. It's probably getting more in the rock kind of area, isn't it? And that's just the metronome. Sounds pretty horrible, but that's all it's meant to do. Drop the bass. Guess it's going to be pretty loud to hear over people trying to play along to it. What's that noise? It's still making a noise. Maybe as we turn it off, it's still making a noise there. Pretty hissy. Bit of white noise generator, I guess. Oh well, might have a quick look inside this thing just for the hell of it. Not sure what they would have made this out of. Might be some sort of dedicated chip or some other chips. Maybe it's all analog, I don't know. I'll have to look up, see if I can find what catalogue this was in, or probably a range of years. Most Tandy products were on the shelves for a few years. Especially something like this, which is pretty specialist and doesn't really date that much over time, I guess. What do we got? A Hokutone, I think. 3.2 ohms, 3 watt, made in Taiwan. Did this thing actually say where it was made? Oh, that's right, yeah, custom manufactured in Taiwan. As a lot of stuff was back then. Oh, I've got a TC4011, I should say, LM8972. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Oh, what does that say? Snare, bass, cymbal, claves, hi-hat. That's a Sanyo chip. An LM. Ah, so it's not like a LM National Semiconductor or whatever they were, American one. It's an LM, because Sanyo used to make LA, LB, that sort of thing. So I wonder if it's a special chip from them. I'll have to look that up online, see if I can find out anything. There's a couple of trim pots in here. And there's another board, which it must be with the pots. No, I'll see if we can get it apart at all. Maybe it's just got the pots pretty much on it. I reckon it's just the back of those two slider pots and probably not much else. But Mozzle see if there's any other electronics there. So quite a bit in it for what it is, really. And that's why electronics was so expensive. Oh, there's an amplifier. I can see there's an IC down there. Bound to be an amplifier because it's like a 16 pinner with a couple of heatsink things on the end. How hard is this to get out? How does it come out, I wonder? Oh, I don't think we have to take the aluminium off or something to unscrew the pots. I would say that could be the actual case. The pots are sitting down. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? You've got to bend the aluminium potentially to get the thing apart. Where's it? That goes to the headphone socket, of course. And then one of these other black wires would bring the output of the amp to it. Probably this wire here, I guess. It heads in that general direction. I can't see how else that board's held in. It's definitely not detachable from the back. I mean, this thing's not exactly in mint condition anyway, and I don't think anyone's ever going to want one. So I could risk... Do these knobs even come off? Sometimes you just got to give them that little bit extra. It's a risk you'll scratch something doing this, so probably shouldn't really just do it with a bare screwdriver. But this thing's hardly mint condition me out. This bit, ooh. Yeah, that's not going to come off without bending a bit, I don't think. You might be able to get it back together slowly. Yeah, these normally just don't. I guess back in the day, Tandy could probably get your replacements, but usually they're made out of aluminium, these things, so they're just not made to come off and go back on again. But everything used to be like this once, and yeah, if they stuck them over something, you were pretty well stuffed. You had to damage it to get it apart. But the only way to find out is to remove these and see if there is a screw under there, or a couple of screws under there. If there's not, I'm going to be a bit upset. Oh yeah, I can see it already. Yeah, what a awful design, really. Not made to be repaired easily. Yeah, it's just going to bend. They're really tightly in there too. Yeah, very bad idea that. It'll be very hard to get that flattened again. I probably can do a reasonable job, but at least I haven't got any big kinks in it. It's just wavy. And you really got to take both of them off to get in there, so I'm not sure it's worth... Although that's already pushed in, so... Or is it peeling up? One side's higher than the other already. So it's not exactly mint to start with, and it's not glued on so well, this one, which is a good sign. And we've got a bit of... Probably wants removing anyway, because they have quite a bit of dust down in there. There is a bit of felty stuff that they often put on these to stop the worst of it getting in. It sort of spreads apart as the slider shaft goes up and down. Keeps the worst of the dust out of them. But yeah, it's absolutely a lot of filth under there. A lot of dust and stuff under there as well, so just under the aluminium. So she's been in pretty dirty conditions, I think. Probably got tucked away somewhere for many years. I think we're going to have to remove this switch bank as well, and just possibly even the sockets, just get everything loose. Or at least some of it loose, because that's got a big bit of wiring there. Can we get this out? It's got quite short wires. Oh, we've got an LA, so a lot of Sanyo parts, 4112. Some sort of mono amplifier, I guess. And there you go, say something or other rhythm box. Unfortunately, all this stuff's so old you'd be unlikely to find anything on the internet, but those little dust covers have kept these rather clean, so they worked really well. Taiwanese were actually not too bad at manufacturing stuff. Even back when they were kind of the cheapo branded stuff in the 80s and stuff, they were still half decent quality, so it's no wonder they're making lots of chips and computers and stuff these days. I think that's soldering iron, so it's got rhythm box 2HP2 0920D. So Tandy just, you know, they say custom manufactured, which meant someone basically put their brand on something they already had. Was about all that happened. So custom badge engineered is probably more the case. Some of their stuff though you didn't see anywhere else, so it's possible it was unique to them, but maybe just unique in Australia. No one else had bothered to import the same thing. Oh well, interesting to look at anyway, and yeah, I might have a quick look at that, see if I can find anything on that Sanyo chip. But yeah, very much sounding like one of those sort of Casio, the accompaniment on a Casio type keyboard, or little Yamaha or whatever they were, those sort of 80s little electronic keyboards that a lot of people had. We had one as, I think, a Yamaha one as kids, just to learn a bit of music and stuff, and it had that same terrible sounding stuff on it, but you could sort of play a basic tune on them, and they took up a lot less room and were a lot cheaper than getting a piano, that's for sure. But none of them sounded particularly good. Guess I should have brushed that out before I put that back, but anyway, we'll get all the dust out of there. That cleaned up alright. And yeah, one of those screws was quite rusty, so it's had a bit of moisture in here at some stage maybe. But the pots are, yeah, seem to be faultless, they're not scratchy at all, so that's quite amazing. Again, like I said, the Taiwanese, they're probably only Taiwanese pots or something, but they're still pretty good. Should have really checked if they were Alps or anything. And you know, switches weren't showing any signs of playing up, so that's quite amazing really. I don't think they're something made by their mainland counterparts would survive as long as this thing. So yeah, I'll have to try and flatten them out a bit before I stick them back down. They can probably just sit in there for now. That one's got a big bend there. yeah, that's what it was like before I pulled it out. High on that side, low on that side, but it's even worse now. So I have to work out how to flatten them out a bit. Not that I'll probably do anything with this thing. So how it goes, and that's how it goes. Hard to get off, but they feel quite loose when they go back on. Yeah, it actually grips really well, so that's an interesting thing. Oh, it's making a noise. Uh-oh, I've broken it. Oh, start. Oh, Foxtrot. So they don't come on in that mode. Loop now. Don't think it's playing them all at once. So two of them will go together. So some of them work in unison, others don't. Oh, that does work with rock. We know it does. We know that one does. They don't seem to work together. No, that mixes with it. Latin Foxtrot. And a Latin waltz. So you can mix a few together. But yeah, just an interesting old novelty, basically. Pretty obsolete in the modern world, I think. That speaker might be handy out of it for something. I don't know if it's really any good as is. Can't imagine it really is anything anyone wants. But it's kind of cool that these old hardware things used to exist. Now everything's done with software. But once upon a time you'd have to go out and pay probably $90 or something for one of these. If you didn't want just the mechanical one. But it's all still working, so it's interesting to see. But anyway, thanks for watching.